we are gonna get started here. Thank you everyone who's joined so far. There's a little poll here, which I'm curious about, is how many folks have ridden the previous generation GSDs. So far we're 50-50 on having test ridden. We today are going to be talking about the latest and greatest GSD, Generation 3, and I am joined by Dale and Amber. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you, I guess starting with you, Dale, can you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Brett. I'm Dale Aguas, I'm Director of Sales for Tern in North America. I have been, I don't know, bike industry, we use the term lifer. I started in the bike industry in 1986 and on the inside side of the industry, so for brands, since 1995. And with Tern, I've been with Tern since day one. Or day negative something before we even had product. So if anybody has Tern questions and kind of whatever you want to know, yeah, whatever. But I'm privileged to be here, and I just want to just say something that Brett hasn't told me to say this. It's just something I want to say. I know bike dealers all over the globe, and I've dealt with dealers like from an inside sales and management point of view since 1995. The retailers are unique, and I will tell you there is nobody more special in the bike industry on a global perspective than the new wheel. So from a consumer point of view, if you are listening to this, you're privileged to hear from the new wheel, and some of the things they do are unparalleled across the globe. And we know it, we listen, we watch, we feel, we learn from Brett and Karin, and we have enjoyed our relationship for all these years.
Thank you, Dale.
Yep.
That says a lot.
Yep.
86 is when I was born, so. Amber, do you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, thanks for having us. My name is Amber Krieger. I work in inside sales for Tern. I've been with Tern for about 4 years, and actually, well, it'll be over 4 years at this point. And then, yeah, I started working in bike shops. And the last shop I had worked at, we sold cargo and e-bikes, and I loved the Tern product, and I really wanted to work on a different side of the industry and sell a product that I believed in. And yeah, I continue to love the products that we put out, including the new GSC.
Awesome. Okay. So without further ado, we're going to dive in here.
Brett, I'm on to Josh. But
oh, cool.
Yeah. So
Josh is on. I don't see you on my view here.
Yeah,
Josh, you want to give your intro?
Yeah, hang on. Hi, I'm Josh Lee with Tern Bicycles. I've been with Tern for 7 years, and just like Dale said, I'm one of those lifers as well. I've been in this industry since '94, and been around bikes since I was a little kid and raced BMX. So, but my thing has been doing global stuff as well. I used to do manufacturing and warranty for 25 years now. So, but yeah, if there's anything about Tern, definitely like Dale, I can help you with. And overall, bikes are kind of my bloodline in general. So, yeah, thanks for the time. And like Dale said too, people see New Wheel and have watched how they do their business, and there's a lot of other people that follow in suit with the New Wheel. So kudos to you guys for showing how things can be done in our industry. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining. We've got a good expert panel here, and we're going to dive in here. So when we first started with Tern, there was no GSD. There was only the Vectron, which had just been released, and Dale at the time said, you're gonna love this bike, but stick with us. We've got more exciting things in the pipeline. And that was prescient, because in 2017 we were in the desert in Las Vegas, outside of Las Vegas, at the big trade show, the original big American trade show, called Interbike, which is no longer in existence. Hopefully, maybe it'll come back. And that's when we first saw the GSD, and we knew that this bike was kind of a game changer. We, when we first saw it, it was cargo bikes were a small share of our business, actually, and a small share of the customer base. The first cargo bike we sold was the Extracycle, and before Bosch came to the United States, it was with a Bionics motor system. Then Extracycle came out with a Bosch motor version of the bike, and that did extremely well. But what was missing was a bike that was a real friendly size that could get everyone excited for it, and something that was really easy to handle, no matter if you were, my height, or 6'3", or Karin's height, pushing 5 feet. And when we first saw the Tern GSD out in the desert there in Las Vegas, we knew that this was going to make a huge impact, because of just the thoughtfulness of design, the accessories, and then just the friendly size. And it became a category defining bike. And that's why now, from that first bike in San Francisco, it's just taken off. And that led to the Gen 2 GSD, which was everything that the Gen 1 was, but just better. And I remember when that launched during COVID, and there was so much anticipation for that bike. And it really met all expectations, and it's our #1 selling cargo bike still. I don't know, Dale, if you have anything to add on the back end in the Tern side, where what the experience was like to see this sort of phenomenon.
Yeah, no, it was amazing, and I want to give credit to where it's due. You mentioned Extracycle. Ross Evans was the founder of Extracycle. He is our good friend. Josh Hahn, the team captain for Tern, went to Stanford. Ross Evans, Stanford, so Northern California roots. And we talked a lot. We did some collaboration. So a lot of our cargo bike thoughts came from Ross and some of the ideas. And by 2017, when we launched the GSD, keep this in mind, it was in development for 3 or 4 years behind the scenes before anybody saw it. That's 2017. And here we are in 2025. It's now a legit category. The category didn't exist. And it really is flattering. Like if you see in the little caption there, it also drew the attention of brands. So there are a lot of similar idea bikes, if you will. But one of the unique things at GSD is that if people go, well, why Tern versus whatever? We always kind of go, we hope the other brands succeed, because this category is such a problem solver around the world. And you could do so many things and provide so many solutions with this type of bike. We wish them well. But when we started this, everybody looked at us and go, small wheels, what's up with that? Passenger in the back, what's up with that? That long seat post with a telescopic thing and it stands on its rear end. Tell me about that. And still today, I get calls, because I've been in the industry for a while, and we're one of the friendly brands that, we're not going to put people off. But so I get calls from who people would deem our competitors, and very large competitors, and they ask me questions that Hey, tell me about vertical standing. Tell me about where I can go and watch people shop, buy bike, and do groceries. And in my mind, I'm going, that's really cool, but you should be living this. And from living this, you can develop a cool product. That's how our team developed the GSD. They lived it. And a lot of the accessories, the design, the implementation of all those things come from living it.
Yeah, and you can, I mean, we've seen that. We've seen like all of these. I've visited Josh in Taiwan and ridden with him, and his daily rider is with his HSD, and you can see the result, which is that the details are really attended to and thought through. So that was, when did the Gen 2 GSD came out? In 2021, right?
I think, yeah, 2021, yeah, during
Yeah.
COVID. I don't remember much
Um,
during then. It was kind of busy.
it was a blur. So it's been a little while, and we're super excited to have this latest generation of the GSD. What is in our world is going to be just called the GSD. It's the Generation 3 GSD, but it's, I would say, I haven't personally ridden it yet. I look forward to doing that next week at Sea Otter. Will be the grand introduction with demo bikes. But based on everything that I've seen so far and talking to the Tern team, it's the best GSD yet. It's a full redesign. So from the ground up, frame, components, motor system, everything has been looked at and and um, and re-looked at from the previous generation models. And there's a lot of exciting, not just the frame design and the performance characteristics, but a lot of really smart new features that I'm super excited to tell everyone about and talk about. The what's new? Well, first thing is the bike can handle more weight. So there's an additional 23 pounds weight capacity on the 3rd gen GSD. The frame is more substantial, so there is it's going to ride better with a lot of weight. There's a increased max rider weight as well. And is there any there's a little details here. Some of this presentation we have here was adapted from the dealer presentation. So things like UDH, derailleur hanger, might sound like a foreign language. But suffice it to say, there's a lot of under the hood stuff that us as mechanics can really appreciate with this new frame design. Is there anything you would add to that, Dale or Amber?
Yeah, absolutely. Larger frame is allows for the strength as you mentioned, but the larger frame tubing also allows for that seat post that you see. You see how there's a caption increased max rider weight? That seat post going into the frame used to be 34.9 millimeters. Now it's 40.1. That's kind of unprecedented in the industry, but what that allows for is a larger seat post tube, which can support more weight. And also the seat post on the upper part is now 34.9. And so now you could put a regular system, the King Creek seat post that you see there, or other seat posts that can go in, but that allows the bike to handle more weight. And because of more weight, now you can go a little bit higher for the taller side of the spectrum. And then on the rear rack, you'll notice that the rack is not welded into the frame. It's a second piece. And so that allows, for
There it is.
the rack to be replaced if it's damaged, if somebody goes down, something weird happens. So that's replaceable now, whereas before it was part of the frame. And because of that frame redesign, kind of right above Brett's left shoulder, you're now allowed now you're able to use the stow deck, which we use on Aurochs and Quick Haul Long. Super cool item for the passenger's feet or the support of a pannier.
You see there's a lot of similarities between this new frame and the HSD. So there was a big frame redesign between the first generation HSD and the current generation HSD, and it seems like a lot of the same changes were made now on the new GSD between the previous generation.
Yeah, correct. It's a similar flow, HSD Gen 1 to Gen 2, GSD Gen 2 to GSD Gen 3. Very similar changes.
We
And
do
we
have a
had
question.
Aurochs in the middle, so I think it's kind of cool to see like especially the rear end. It's very similar to Aurochs. So you just like smash all these bikes and what we learned and like throw it all together into a new GSD.
We have a question real quick, and we'll answer lots of questions at the end here too. But there's a question whether the geometry change, if there's any geometry changes that would benefit a taller rider, like 6'1".
Yes, great question. A little bit slacker head tube. To be honest, I don't know how many degrees, but it does allow for a little bit more upright position. It does address a little bit taller rider a bit
This is the
better.
head tube. Oh, it's not letting me do that. Yes, head tube is here.
And the max, like the suggested like max rider height did go increase as well. So I think we have it at like 6'7" now. So yeah.
So yes, the answer is yes. This is going to be an improvement for taller riders. Let's see here. Thank you for the question. So moving on, I think one thing that I find that's really not, surprisingly not talked enough about, it seems, in the family bike space is safety. And Tern has been at the forefront of pushing on safety standards. And so I believe Tern was the first manufacturer to submit the bike to this new German cargo bike testing standard. It's one of the few that has recognition under that standard. Isn't that correct? Yeah.
That is correct. There are, from a global standpoint, there aren't many standards for cargo bikes. This is essentially the only one. And DIN and EFBE, boy, they have some standards. And you better have a good product to pass their testing. And we take safety very seriously. From day one. If you ever look at a GSD, even Gen 1, look at how overbuilt it is. And so we know safety is a high, you should, all consumers, especially with passengers, if we just look at that picture, that bike better be safe. And I will tell you, it's not just about passing the safety test as a frame and fork, which is the key. It's also about things like pedals, things like handlebar and stem. And if we want to get into nitty gritty of how Tern stands apart, and I don't want to be like over Tern fanboy-ish, if you know what I mean. But if you pick apart things like hubs, brake choice, tire choice, things like that, you will go, holy cow, that's a big deal. When we came out with GSD Gen 1 in 2017, people were going, why are you using a through axle on a 20-inch wheel bike? And we're going, do you know what this bike is capable of doing? You better support it. And why 4-piston brakes back in 2017? So things like that. And I won't say this in the public. Are we in the public? No, but sufficient
it will
to
be.
say, a good question to ask any bike shop or any brand is this bike tested, and to what standard? And if the answer is no, then how much do you really value safety? And I'll just drop this little nugget in. We have tested other bikes. just out of curiosity. And yeah, let's just say they wouldn't pass. It wouldn't even come close.
Yeah. I mean, from what we've seen, the fact that the original Tern GSD was the first cargo bike that had 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes. Then we went into this world where they were putting cable brakes on bikes, on a lot of cargo bikes, which was just nuts. And so, but Tern has consistently not just maintained those standards, but we're going to talk about a little bit here, ABS brakes, which is now going to be standard on a number of different models from of the GSD, which is a big deal. I'm super excited for that. But you know, also on fire safety, that's always a concern from folks. But the fact that Bosch is the motor system and it's a complete system that's fully UL certified, and it was I believe one of the first to be fully UL certified, is, you can, you know, rest assured based on that alone. So from a frame and fork strength capability, from braking, from component choices, and then from fire safety, you're covered on these bikes, and it just keeps getting better. Which brings us to anti-lock braking systems. So on the R and S class models, there now is standard Bosch's ABS braking system. And so we've been familiar with ABS. Many of the recent Muller models can be configured with ABS. And it's been a huge hit so far. Like, it's one of those things that, like, when you have the option and you can fit it within your budget, it's like, why not? The reason, just to kind of clarify what ABS is. So Bosch actually invented, ABS stands for anti-lock braking system. My understanding is Bosch actually invented ABS for cars in the 80s. And still the ABS units in most cars are coming from Bosch. And what the anti-lock braking system does is it's a sensor system that understands if the wheel is moving, and if it senses that the wheel is not moving, then it will automatically regulate the brake to ensure that the wheel starts moving. And the reason that's important is when your wheel is locked, you lose traction. So the wheel needs to be moving and the tire needs to be moving on the ground to maintain traction. The moment it locks, you start skidding. And so the point of an anti-lock braking system is to avoid the potential for skidding by ensuring that no matter what the rider's doing and no matter what the terrain, the wheel can always continue to move a little bit and maintain traction. So this is important from like, you know, the classic fear that people have of going over their handlebars by only hitting their front brake. That isn't possible on a Bosch ABS brake bike. The other fear would be is if you hit like loose gravel and you hit your brakes, that's another opportunity for your brakes or your wheel to lock up and you lose traction. That's also that potential is addressed with ABS brakes. And I believe this new Tern GSD is the first 20 by 20 inch bike that has ABS brakes on it, as far as I've seen on the market.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Brett. I do know that it's just not used very much in the 20 wheel space at all.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it is the first bike with ABS. The other factor of ABS is also wet or icy conditions that will help you prevent from that sliding or eraser feeling of asphalt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited for this because, I mean, I think for customers, once you are given the choice, braking is probably the most important thing you're going to do from a safety perspective on a bike, other than just the basics of having the frame and the fork and all of that be up to par for what you're doing. And this is just sort of next generation of braking technology for e-bikes. So this, just to be clear, the ABS brakes are available on the S class and R class models. We'll go over the different models at the end here. But they aren't, it's not going to be a feature on every single version of the GSD. But we'll go over where it comes in. But it's very, very cool. There's also one other cool thing is Bosch has really good software around this. So there's in the Bosch app or on the display, you can kind of see statistics on your braking, and you can see, you know, your braking performance, and so there's some cool analytics built into the ABS system. The other really cool thing is all of the R and S class models now come standard with the Connect module from Bosch, which is GPS tracking with a cellular connection. It's an extremely robust anti-theft system. So it's GPS, it's got a cellular chip so that it can send the information off to the Bosch Flow app so you can see where your bike is. And it also is an alarm. So the combination of all of those things working together makes it for a very, very secure. Oh, it's also motion sensing too. So effectively, the interface is already found on some of on like the HSD models. But basically what you would do is you pair your phone to the bike. You do have to sign up for a subscription for the cellular connection. You can do it on a monthly basis or annual. You get a 1-year trial membership, and then after that, right now, what is the price on the subscription? It's not very much.
Don't know off the top of my head, but to your
I
point,
think it's
it's not
something like $20 a year or something like that. I think it's minimal. We can double check that. But once you subscribe, you have this connection now between your phone. You can pair your phone to your bike and use your phone as your key, or you can use the display as the key. So when you park your bike, you lock it. You still want to lock it to something just to be safe. And then you can pop your display off, and that enables the locking system and turns on the alarm. And then if someone were to move the bike, you would get an alert on your phone. The bike would start making noise, and you can then see where your bike is and track it. So it's a very robust, it's, you know, the combination of a lock and an alarm and the GPS is a very multi-layered security system that really works. We have it on a lot of our subscription bikes, and it's cut theft down to basically zero. And even we've had a couple bikes stolen with it, and this is just our own personal experience on the subscription bikes, and we've been able to track those bikes. So it's very, very, very cool. That is going to be, the chip itself is a standard feature on the R and S class models. The service requires this annual or monthly subscription, which is not all that much, but you're basically paying for the cellular connection because it's just a SIM card. There's a number of other big improvements. So there's a new kickstand design. The original GSD locking kickstand was kind of a big deal. It was kickstands kind of can make a cargo bike, has been our experience. In the early days, the kickstand designs were so-so, and it just made using the bike a little challenging, especially when you've got multiple, wiggly children on the back. And so slowly over time, we've seen kickstands progress. And the biggest progression, though, I think, was with the Gen 2 GSD and the locking kickstand. So what that meant, especially in San Francisco terrain, where you're sometimes loading on a hill, is that the kickstand is by default locked when it's in its down position. And that means kids jumping on, even on a slope, the kickstand won't accidentally unmount, I guess, or whatever, I don't know what you call that.
Disengage.
Disengage, yeah. There we go.
It won't deploy.
Won't yeah, or undeploy. I don't know. Anyway, and that and the way to deploy it is there's a little lever on the handlebar. So you press that and that unlocks the kickstand, and then you can keep on rolling. So that was extremely successful. This new kickstand has all the same general technology. Is this a patented design, Dale? Do you know this locking?
Good question. I know, sufficient to say I just came from Taiwan last week, and patents were one of the topics, and by and large, it came up because there's a lot of people copying our product around the world, accessories, bikes, little things like this, and I've seen some really good ones. I don't know exactly what is patented and under what type of patent, but sufficient to say our team is pushing for that when and where possible to kind of protect some of the technologies we've created.
Yeah, because we haven't seen this. This locking design is amazing. We don't see it on any other bikes other than the GSD. And so on this new kickstand, it's just been the whole kickstand is more robust. It's got wider feet. You don't need to add any kickstand extender. We've in the past have added the extenders to the kickstand to give you better your ability to engage and disengage the kickstand. That won't be necessary anymore, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Brett, one little tidbit, and I think this is really cool and just kind of shows you a little bit of the thoughtfulness behind. Because you have wider feet, and think about uneven surfaces, real life, imperfect situations. You see that there's a pinch bolt on the lower leg, kind of in the middle of the leg, above your left ear. And then right next to the pinch bolt, there's a little rivet, if you will. That little rivet helps prevent, no, a little bit higher on your cursor, a little bit to the right, a little lower. That's the pinch bolt, right? So that allows you right there, that silver piece, the silver button head screw looking thing, that helps prevent the feet from twisting. That's so cool. Love it. Little thing, but it'll help the feet from twisting side to side because there's load on the bike and it may be uneven surfaces. And then just a heads up, even with the locking feature and even with the wider feet, we always recommend if there are still passengers on the rear end of the bike while the kickstand is deployed, please be by them, because if you walk away, and we see a lot of images online and we're always kind of a little bit nervous, if you walk away and the passengers lean hard right, left, hey, squirrel, and there's supposed there's two passengers, right? That's real life. I have kids too. We don't want those passengers unattended in that seat because you're on the phone and not paying attention. We don't want, safety is a paramount to us. So anyway, that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, we always say just have a hand on the bike at least.
There you go.
It's very robust. The kickstand takes a ton of abuse, so it's really great that this is all upgraded. It is one of the #1 most important features on a cargo bike, but you still need to keep your hand on the bike when you've got 2 kids or 1 kid, or another big upgrade is this more robust front fork. 34 stands for the size of the stanchions, and the stanchion is, let's see if my screen is, this is the stanchion. So 34 millimeters versus 32. This is a feature for the R and S class bikes. So the current GSD, or the Gen 2 GSD, has the 32 millimeter stanchion. The P series GSDs will still have the 32 millimeter stanchion, but the 34 millimeter stanchion is just more robust, more stiffness. It's going to perform better overall and over the lifetime of the bike. Let me get rid of my little drawings here. this I think is a really, really cool feature. USB-C charge port. I don't know why anyone else hasn't thought of this yet, but there are USB-C charge ports on the Bosch at the display. But this is a different class. It's higher wattage. It's in the back of the bike, near your cargo bag. So it's more accessible, and it's going to be really useful, I think. I'm very, that we see lots of lighting systems that people put on their bikes, little USB, or not USB, LED lights that you string. It's like a little Christmas tree back there. Well, this will make that even more easy to accomplish, and you don't have to charge separate batteries or have throwaway batteries. You just charge your one battery on your bike, and everything is supplied with power. So this is a feature on the R and S class models as well. So this won't be on the P series models. One of the reasons for all of these differences between the R and S class models, which I think I have a slide for, but we may not have a slide for, is that there's two different motors generations on the bike. So let me see if so yeah, here, we'll talk about it here. So these are specs and colors. There are 4 different models. There is the P series, which is the P10 and the P00, and then the S series, the S10, and then the R series, the R14. So the P series bikes uses the Bosch, what's called the BES2 system. So that's the system that's on the GSD. Oh, go ahead. Someone say, oh, yeah. So the BS2 system is on the current GSDs. It's going to be backwards compatible if you own a current GSD. So the batteries and everything are the same. The S series and the R series are using the BS3 system, also called the Smart system. That has more capabilities, especially around connectivity. It's a different standard. So the batteries are different, the plugs are different. Everything, they're not cross-compatible. And so things like USB-C charging and the ABS system and the Connect module with GPS, those are only components that fit in the BES3 ecosystem, the Smart system ecosystem. So that's where the difference in terms of what is on each bike comes from. I guess while we're on the color slide, there's and I can answer all sorts of questions on the Bosch system here, but on the color side, there's going to be 4 different colors. The base color on the S10, the P10, and the P00 is the most popular color that we have sold, school bus yellow. Perfect color for a family bike. Then there's pearl white, which is available on the S10 and the P00. And then there's beetle blue, which is also a tried and true, very popular color on the S10. And then finally on the R14, you have the
Iron gray.
Iron gray. And the R14 is the roll off. R stands for roll off. So we'll talk about that as well in a moment. Here's a rundown of the different models. And this is on our website as well. So if you go there, you can play along. It's newwheel.net/GSD, I believe. You can kind of look at the different models and see pricing and see some specs. But just going through it real quick here. So the P10 is going to have a 500 watt-hour battery, dual battery capable, so you can add a second battery as well. Bright front light, BS2 cargo line motor, so that's up to 85 Newton meters of torque. That bike is going to come in the yellow color. with the Shimano 10-speed drivetrain. And then there's the POO. OO stands for Infinity, so that's with the Enviolo C380 system with the belt drive and a continuously variable transmission. And that has the same battery capacity motor system as the P10. And it comes in two colors, yellow or white. And then the S10 is the model with the smart system, BES3 system. That's got a more robust fork. It's got a little bit bigger battery, 545 watt hours, also dual battery ready. Same Shimano Dior drivetrain. And then brighter lights, more the latest Schwalbe pickup tires, which are designed for e-bikes or for cargo bikes. And that's going to come with the Bosch Connect module and the USB-C charging port. And then finally, the R14 is the most premium version of this, and that is coming with an 800 watt hour battery standard and second battery capable, so you can go up to 1600 watt hours with two batteries. The electronic shifting 14-speed roll-off drivetrain, which is incredible from hill climbing performance. And it should have the new, does it have the new shifter, the new trigger shifter?
Good question. I have to check on that, Brett. I saw one last week, but I didn't get to ride it personally, and I didn't look at the shifter. Can I make a quick comment? Yeah. With respect to battery, one of the questions from consumers and shops that we hear is, hey, I know GSD is dual battery capable, but how you list it is only one battery. So what does it take to get the second battery in? And for that matter, what does it not take? And that's a good thing. The bike is dual battery ready from the get-go. So you don't have to do anything but install the proper battery, slide it in. So if you have the BES3 battery in that same shape on a different bike, slide it in, you can go ride, the charging port's connected, the programming's already done. And same thing for the BES2 bikes. If you have a compatible battery on another bike or you buy one, just slide it in. That's not always the case with dual battery capable bikes. Sometimes you have to buy a wire harness, install it, and it's not necessarily easy because you're running it through frame tubes and such. So just a little note there in case you go, hey, I do want to go with a second battery. Is it a headache?
Yeah, no, I think having it built in is such a nice thing. We have lots of customers that there's a couple things. One is, yeah, if you have let's say you have an HSD, like a current model HSD, you can borrow that battery and stick it in your GSD and now go on really epic rides. And we have a lot of customers who, want to do a weekend adventure. So you don't necessarily need to bring that second battery with you for many of your rides, but for like that long adventure, it opens up possibilities immensely. And having it built in and not have to do the full install, I can tell you the installs are not fun. Some are easier than others, but mostly it's at least a 2-hour job to install a dual battery system if it's not already built in, and some bikes even longer. The one other cool thing just to mention is, actually, I didn't mention I think I've mentioned it previously, but the S10 and the R14 are going to come standard with Bosch ABS. The displays on the S10 and R14 are quick swappable. So if you want to add like a smartphone holder, Bosch's smartphone grip is really, really good, and you can just pop off the Kiox 300 display and just pop in a Bosch smartphone holder, and that will both use your phone as a display but also charge the phone. So that's very, very cool as an upgrade.
Hey, Brett.
Let's see, anything? Yeah.
You may have said this already, and pardon if you did. On the S and R series bikes, the headlight is a high beam, low beam setup, whereas on the P series, it's simply one beam at 450 lumens. And 450 is quite honestly, it's
a lot.
powerful enough. 700 is like really, really powerful. And kind of on that note, you know how R and S have ABS, and really that's state of the art. It doesn't mean that the brakes on the P series are bad. So
No.
they're super powerful. It's just that ABS is quite honestly a little bit better. And so just keep that in mind. High beam, low beam, R and S, a single beam on P series.
And then a small detail, but I think it's worth mentioning on the R and S class bikes, the charge port is on the top tube.
Oh,
So you don't have to kind of go to the back of the bike by the batteries to plug in your bike. So like on the new HSD, it's just like right there, which I think is a cool feature.
Yeah. That's one of those little details that we don't talk enough about, really. Like in the sales process, it's a little bit like you're not going to mention the charge port as a
Yeah, I was
selling
like, it's
point,
not
but when you own it,
exciting.
no,
Yeah.
when you own it, you really, it's just like, yeah, it's very
Well,
nice to be able to
that also
easily
that
plug
also
in.
that also gives you the option for the power more on those.
Ah,
So
oh wow, I didn't think about that. So you can add another, you can add 250 plus
yep.
two 800 watt hour batteries.
yeah,
Holy cow!
Yeah, and
Wow,
then when you
that
think
just blew my
about it,
mind.
from a design standpoint, if you're going to put a charging port a little bit behind the head tube, right? And you know, there's a physical hole in a critical part of the frame. You better overbuild that frame. So hence a
Mhm.
part of the reason and part of the benefit of going with the larger tubes on the frame.
Cool. Okay, so accessories really make the cargo bike. Tern is a leader in their accessory ecosystem, and they have some new accessories that are going to be compatible not just with the GSD, but they're being launched with the GSD. And one of the new accessories is a sun shield, which has been the storm shield has been super popular. And the storm shield is just a cover that is a weather-proof cover, so it keeps your passengers nice and cozy on wet and wild days. But there's another side to all of to like the sun shield and having that sort of cover is that UV and sun, and if you're going on a long ride, I know like with my daughter, like you need to remember the sunscreen. But on a really long ride, it can get hot out back there, and especially if you're behind the rider too, you don't get necessarily as much breeze. So with this new sun shield, I'm excited because it's gonna make it so you have a light duty um, ability to protect your passengers from UV rays. And the other really cool thing is the design is even more robust in terms of the pole system and taking it off and putting it back on. And it's the basic framework for the rain shield, which now is paired with the sun shield. So you can start with a sun shield, and then come rainy season, you add this cover that just fits with the sun shield. So you've
And
got kind of best of both worlds.
it's that rain shield is super easy to install on the sun shield. So conceivably, you could have it folded up, put away in your pannier, and suppose it's about to rain or it just started drizzling. Pull over a safe spot, install the rain shield, and let's say you have an hour-long ride, rains for 15 minutes, sun comes out. Take it off, fold it up, dry it, whack it a little bit, get the water off, fold it up, put it away, and you're back to sun shield. Brett, if you can go back to the sun shield slide, I want to show you and everybody on this call something in my mind. This is so cool, and it's this simple. This sun shield accessory, and keep in mind, storm shield is not disappearing. The sun shield accessory was developed because a consumer requested something like this, and we had enough requests like that to actually go and develop it. So when we say, you consumers and retailers matter, we are listening. This is directly from an email to us. And I visited a retailer and a consumer had a question. I said, please have them put that on paper, email it in so we can kind of get it recorded because it's a good request. That was about a year and a half ago. Here's the sun shield. And
That's super cool.
and then on the same line, if you look at it, the sun shield is mounted to the Clubhouse, and now it's a Gen 3 because it's a third iteration. Back when we launched GSD Gen 1, there was a gentleman named Brett Thurber hounding us saying, you guys need to create this passenger wraparound thing that exists and compatible with GSD, but you don't make it. The Clubhouse Gen 1, a lot of the pressure I put on the team globally came from Brett. And I really want to point that out because when I looked at that picture and I see Brett presenting it, I'm going, this is a cool story because this is real, you know, and that's the beauty of this. We don't know it all. We're willing to grow and learn. And that's why there's little iterations. But if you notice, for the most part, the bike kind of looks the same. It's not a broken record kind of thing where you want to like do this massive overhaul. But all these little touches is making something that's really, really good, just a little bit gooder, you know. But yeah, seriously, from a consumer standpoint, keep the questions coming in, keep the pictures coming in. We pay attention to that, and that's one of those things. From being in the industry so long, on a personal level, I'm proud of working for Tern in that we don't know it all. There's a lot of runway for us to learn, and we listen. And like I said, Sunshield and Clubhouse came from consumer and dealer requests.
It's really cool. Reflective is also
Yep.
nice. I remember on the first GSD when you had reflective paint on the logos, we were like, wow, that is a good idea. Is it still reflective paint?
It is.
Yep.
The logos, yeah.
Just a reminder, one of the key things with Tern in general and GSD in particular is just that there's so many cool accessories that just make the bike yours and grow with you as your uses change. And those are all compatible still, even though the rack has technically changed. Tern has done a really great job to make sure that there's nothing that's not going to work. Other than, if anything, they're adding some functionality. So yeah, the stow decks on the bottom are new. Well, they've been on the Quick Haul Long and the Aurochs, but now they're coming to the GSD. But they just add more functionality.
Hey Brett, can I say something right there? On the accessories, it is kind of to your point, one of the distinguishing factors of Tern is the accessory lineup. And the idea behind it is we want to give the rider the ability to do what they specifically want to do. And not everybody's the same. Some people want sun shield, no need for rain. Some people want that box underneath. Some people want panniers only. And the amount of work to partner with 20 plus factories and vendors that are not bike industry people, you know, so you're talking to tent pole companies, you're talking to suitcase suppliers. Other brands don't have the time and really foresight to do that. And it's not really to say, oh, cool, we're cool, but it's more like that we want the rider to ride. And by making these accessories, it gives them the confidence to do so, like in the rain, you know, in the sun, things like that, or with a passenger and maybe a larger passenger. All those little things in a nutshell allow the rider to ride more. And that's what we want. When we're out riding more and enjoying, and when we're able to do what we want to do safely and with confidence because we have the right size panniers to do a real grocery run, that's really cool. And so that's why keep the ideas coming. We're listening. And one little thing that I learned last week that I didn't know, I thought that was so cool. We do a weather top cooler for the front rack. It's not in any of those pictures, but I often thought, like, I have one. When I zip it, it zips so tight, to keep things cool. And then you have to pop the zipper, and it's hard because it really seals well. And I talked to our product team about that, and they go, "Did you know that that weather top cooler is made in the same factory where this cooler company called Yeti is made? We sought out the high end one instead of the low price one because it kind of lines up with who we are and what we want to get put out there." And I thought that was really cool. I thought, wow,
That was really cool.
yeah,
I love those anecdotes. It
yeah.
really makes sense why it's as good as it is. So who's the GSD for? The GSD is probably the most capable. It is the most capable bike in Tern's lineup for sure, just in terms of, like, the HSD is fantastic, but the dual passenger carrying capacity, the added weight means it's just you can potentially do even more with a GSD. For many folks, you don't need extra passenger capacity or extra weight capacity, but for many folks, you do. So the GSD as a bike that can do whatever you throw at it it's second to none. I think, the thing that's kind of remarkable in all of that is just how small it is, considering how much it can do. That was from the very beginning what was remarkable about it. Having a bike that's smaller than a normal bike, and yet you can fit 2 passengers plus the rider was a big deal, and it still is a big deal. And what it means is we can offer this to more people in apartments, people with tight living conditions, or small garages or no garage. But in general, this bike is, we've got everyone from multi-children families to handymen to urban commuters to governments using GSDs on a daily basis. And this slide here kind of, I guess, gives some ideas of what's possible, but there's even more. I guess the question is, who's it not for, I guess. So in summary, it's the GSD is like the current GSD, just even better. It's got all of the things that we've learned to love on the current GSD, but just with more refinements, and especially on the S and the R class models, some really, really cutting edge stuff that isn't found on any other 2-kid cargo bikes on the market. Increased weight, still uses the Bosch motor system, which is best in class in terms of performance and reliability and service. And then you've got all of these accessories that really allow you to make the bike your own. I guess we can move to questions. If we've got, we answered some, but yeah, does anyone have any questions? Is there anything you want to add, Dale, to that?
No, I think you did a great job. I think I would have a question from a consumer standpoint. I know the answer, but I think a good question is when can I buy it?
That's a good question. Yeah.
So I have the answer, and it's a good one. Unlike some Tern launches in the past, where we announce a product and availability is not for a while, right? 6 months. or sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Other than the R14, all models are on the water. The P series bikes should be in our warehouse by the end of April. Realistically, and I'm under promising over deliver there. They're projected to arrive in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. From there, they go to dealers, but the supply will be limited. Same thing with the P00. They hit the water just last week. So that's awesome that, you know, the announcement made last week, the bikes were on, essentially all the bikes were on the water minus the R14. R14, keep in mind, we have Gen2s in stock now at a phenomenal price. And so R14 in the Gen3 is probably not sometime till summer. But that would be like one of the key questions what we're fielding. And then I will ask a hard question on purpose. And I looked at the chat earlier, and it wasn't necessarily a question, it was more of a statement, but it was something to the effect of P00. And I'll intentionally ask a very, very hard question. And it would be in the form of, hey bro, what about GSD with BES3 and belts, but something a little bit less expensive than roll-off? My personal answer would be, great question, you're preaching to the choir. I want it too. My personal bike is an HSD S00, which is NViolo and belt. So sufficient to say it's not in the initial offering. There is an NViolo, but it's BES2. And in a sense, you've got to limit the number of SKUs to a degree. And also, who's to say what's down the pipe? So keep asking, keep pushing. And you know, like I said earlier, our team does really, really listen. And they listen with very much, you know, intentional listening. And so, yeah, I want that bike. It does not exist. And so let's see what happens down the road.
I mean, the good news is roll-off is the best climbing bike for especially hilly terrain like we've got here in the Bay Area. There isn't a hill you can't climb up because your gear range is so enormous. So that's the good news. For our area, it's probably, the beautiful thing about roll-off is the gear range, but also the efficiency of the gears. So you don't lose any efficiency in the transmission. So you can get all the power from the motor delivered to the road. But yeah, no, having some different price options with belt is nice because the belt really does work. Well, I think we are at time here. Thank you everyone who joined. And thank you, Dale and Amber, and Josh.
Yep,
if
thank you.
there are other questions, just email us, info@newwheel.net, or you can reach out to Tern. But if you email us, we can work together to get your questions answered. And we hope to have demo bikes very, very soon. And we will have demo bikes at Super Bicycle in Oakland on April 27th. So that's going to be a really fun time to talk. Tern will be there, and you can learn all about the bikes, ride the bikes. But hopefully we'll have them even sooner than that. We'll see.
Thank you
so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
All right, bye.